20-year-old boyfriend, a 16-year-old girl was stabbed multiple times and then bludgeoned to death, allegedly by her 20-year-old boyfriend in full view of bystanders and pedestrians. Not one among them alerted the police on a street in Shabadari area of Delhi. Not one among them alerted the police. This is, in fact, most shocking. The murder happened right in front of them, and nobody was, in fact, ready to take some kind of an action. One person who, apparently tries to intervene, but he also backs out. And everyone saw it happening right in front of them. And
the assault kept on for 1 minute.
It kept on going, and
people who are watching us right now,
they just pass. Either they have, all of us have become so immune to violence happening in front of us that we don't even react, saying that it's not a problem anymore unless it happens to us or to our family.
And I've seen this happen before in Hyderabad, once in Telangana. A similar incident happened in Delhi before.
Stabbing happened, yes.
You've got the Shraddha Walker case. Of course, gruesome murders do happen. But when they're happening in broad daylight, in the middle of a market, in the middle of a lane, a busy lane,
one must intervene. Women walked, men walked, nobody took action. Nobody, in fact,
and the assault kept on happening for over 1 minute. People who are watching our stream right now, get down in the comment section. People only seem to be commenting about the strife and trouble in Manipur. Shouldn't you be worried about what's happening in the country? You've got a 16-year-old girl that a man has stabbed some 34 odd times, continuously for a minute, with nobody stepping in. I remember in Telangana, when that particular case happened, Varghese, people also had the time to take out their mobile phones and video record the entire incident, the entire ordeal. But you could not step in. And look at this man, he's literally standing there seeing it happen and walks off.
Well, that's in fact, God save us if we find ourselves in such a situation in the city, because then probably we'll be looking at what is happening. We are just onlookers in what has happened. But again, how can, when I fail to understand this, how can we be so desensitized when it comes to this? I mean, how can, as a human being, be so desensitized to what is happening around us?
I can understand if I was also there, if I'd like to put, because I've thought about it so much. I beg your pardon. If I was there in that particular street, in that particular lane, when this attack, the murder was taking place, I don't blame the other people. There could be a sense of, shock and fear that can take over somebody's body, like these people that are just walking by. Because you see this man in complete rage. He's in so much rage, he's unable to see the people that are around him, that he's carrying out a gruesome crime without understanding the consequences and the implications that are coming his way. But for all the other people, they really need to shake themselves out of it. There are people who've looked at it happen, they've understood that, wait, this is not just some guy who's trying to break the ground. There's a person that's lying beneath the rock that he's using to bludgeon the head with.
I understand the kind of shock that you're talking about, and I'll just, if some of our people who've not gone through their papers, I think this is one bold headline that has come up. I think I'll just show this headline, in fact, to our viewers as well. When it comes to the Indian Express, they have put out one this thing. I'll get to the other newspapers as well. But this headline, in fact, speaks about the kind of shock that we should be looking at when it comes to this crime. Bystanders did not make PCR call for 25 to 30 minutes. Body lay in corner, say police. Nobody even bothered to report this murder. So the person, first of all, we have failed twice. One is, we have not acted when we could have acted. Two, we have not even informed the police and said that it is something that doesn't happen. We are all living in some kind of a bubble when it comes to this. This is the kind of, this can't go worse than this. We are ready to do a lot of things, but when something happens right in front of us, and I don't buy the fear thing that you're talking about, because see, people just walked calmly. If you see the footage, people just walked calmly behind what was happening. People just walk calmly, saying that this is not my business. a minimum thing that could have happened is something like this happened. Call up the police and say there's something happening over here. At least you can inform the police. You do. I understand if you're paralyzed by fear, you can't enter the police, but at least you can call up the police and say this is happening. Right in front of you, it's happening. Even that did not happen.
It's imperative to cover any news objectively that you put, and you push
But this,
anger
I
outside
understand that, but
onto
this
the
is something.
periphery.
I mean, this is
But
something
it does
that
anger me.
It does
anger me a lot.
You become so emotionally involved with this. Even as journalists, when we've been taught to saying that you have to be very objective with news and all that. But this is ridiculous. The ridiculous part of it, the murder itself is horrendous. On top of it, nobody taking action. It's much more. I'm not saying take law into your hands. I'm not saying that you have to take law into your hands. But a minimum thing is to inform the local police.
And for
we
25
know
to 30 minutes,
25
there was
even
no
after the
call
murder,
that
nobody,
was made
no
to
call
the
was made to the
nearest police
and-
control room.
Exactly. No PCR didn't get a single call. So that itself is a shocker as to, how this thing has. It's shocking. I mean, it's shocking, especially not when you want to open the newspaper.
It's
and
good
read
that the
something like
accused, Sahil Khan, he fled to Bulandshahr. Some phones were, tracked. Phone calls were tracked. That he used one of his aunt's phone call to call somebody. Albeit he was later nabbed from Bulandshahr. So Sahil, he is in police custody even as we speak. On the other hand, we've lost a 16-year-old girl in a gruesome murder whose last words to her mother were, "I love you."
That was the last one. And again, to highlight this thing, I'll get you on the Hindu has put out a headline on this. And this is quoting the victim's father. This is what the father said, and that if anyone wants to, in fact, go ahead and read in that this thing as well. If only someone from the crowd had shown courage, victim's father. If only someone from the crowd had shown courage. It did not happen in an isolated place. It did not happen in a place where people do not have access. It was not premeditated and planned in a way that ensured that the victim was lured, and it happened in broad daylight. If that's a haunting question. It's a haunting question to all of us.
Coming from the father of the victim.
Yes, the father of the victim. It's a haunting question to all of us. If only someone from the crowd had shown courage, victim's father. Kabir, I also have daughters, so I am really worried now. I'm really worried if something like this happens and nobody is there to, in fact, take some kind of courage about it. I think then I need to be worried.
And it's unfortunate. Well, I mean, fortunate. I let the stream decide at this point in time. But right below this particular news is the news of the IPL finale, which after this sad and ugly taste in my mouth,